Okay, deep breathing. So you catch your breath, and then we're going to work a little bit on the footwork. The kien bu. So the footwork is critical in your forms, because without the footwork, you really can't coordinate the upper body with it. So in kungfu they call the ma bu, right? Ma bu yo len. So len guat means agility, like agile in your method. In Tai Chi they call it differentiation to solid and empty, which is really, shifting your weight. So whether it's shifting a weight or agility, they all really rely on your control of your center. So if you don't shift your weight correctly, or you're not shifting your weight fully, then you're going to be, you compromise your. So one of the footwork that we have is the one that we cross over. When we're like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So the ability to control the movement and get in and out of your stance is what's agility. That represents the way you're maneuvering. So when you shift, you have to be soft, but you don't want to do that. It's really, if you're stepping, it's not very agile, because you're not controlling the descending of the action. You're not controlling your center of mass precisely. It's there, but there's really no control when you're stepping like that. So when you pak bu, and some people actually practice like this, but just the fact that it took you that long to get to that stance means that it's not going to be agile, and it's not going to be quick enough for you to be able to use it or even get out of your own way. So when you practice your footwork, you have to sustain your position and then touch down lightly. Yeah. Right. So when you're here, then you have to shift your weight and turn. If you just go from here to there, you didn't control your center. See what I mean? So okay, punch. Do your punch. Yeah. So you have to, if you're in this position, you have to sink here in order to open the stance and then punch. Yeah. So you have sort of an interim. Yeah. So you have to unweight it to weight, and that transition carries through your hip, your kwa, right? So they have to work together. The two sides of your body have to work together. It's more than just being right and left. It's whatever runs through your, yeah. Yeah. And then, See when he throws his punch, throw your punch. Yeah. So your rear foot should be forward more. Yeah. No, rear foot. That's your front foot. Yeah. So you see the line on the floor here? Put your toe on this line, and then in your heel there. Okay, that's where your stance should be. Then that allows you to turn your hip this way. More. Turn your hip more. Your hip more. Yeah. And then lean forward. Now look here. Yeah. Huh? Oh, we didn't get to her elbows yet. Okay. And then drop this hip a little bit. Not this way. Yeah, now down. Okay, now look here. Okay. That's good.
Take a picture. Got it. I'll send it to you later.
Well, the hair is a the hair's a variable.
That's the real fine tuning. Everything has to be in place.
Because you're so used to doing this when you punch. When you do this, don't do that too. This is going to be. Because you got movements.
Yeah.
So this
It's an alignment. It's also body formation, part of the posture. So after you punch, then then you close, then you step 1, 2, 3, shift, turn, right? 1. Then on this side, 2, and then you close. Then you hear 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2. So you have to sort of prep for the next position. So try that a few times more just to see if you can. It's a control factor of the different pieces of your body. And, if it was easy to do, you would get it right away. But, so right there, yeah. Okay, go. Yeah. And then go. Fold. Fold first. No, yeah. Yeah, punch. No, fold. Oh, this is the first one. The first part, yeah. 1. See, so do that footwork again. Go. 1. Yeah, so the way you're doing it, you're going. There isn't the upper-lower coordination. It requires you to twist your waist in the opposite direction. So when you're here, so when you're here, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So your waist is not tied to your movement.
My waist.
Yeah. When you do a kill and bull, right? And I go like this, and I turn, right? I'm turning. My body's turning this way. My legs are over there. And then I go like this. And then I go like this. So the relationship between the upper and the lower has to be like this and like this. So when you do this, if I'm turning like this, you see there's no balance in motion. When I go like this, yeah. It has to do that. And the rooting, the sinking, and the different. So that's something you have to get in your body before, because if it doesn't do it spontaneously, then it doesn't know it. Even though we talk about it, doesn't mean your body's doing it. So that's what you have to do is and then you switch over. Yeah. And then you should be turning this way. Yeah. No, if I'm here, I'm turning this way. Then when I'm here, I'm turning this way. Then I'm here. Then I unwind it. Yeah. 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 chun kyo, yeah, same. Yeah, so your elbow should, yeah, like that. Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. Do the water punch. Yeah, go. Yeah. So again, do it again. Punch. Yeah. Okay. Here. Then you have to drop this. When you make your transition, you have to go pass through the horse. Yeah. 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 You have to drop. You have to drop your knee. You go. You have to pass through horse. Yeah. Because the relationship is there, right? Right. And then you turn. Yeah. Yeah, the horse is in everything. Because transitionally, you have to have a compatibility of the motion. So if you're missing the stance and the arms and legs are not. Yeah, or at least a facsimile of that. It's passing through that. Yeah, so you can't go from leaning to leaning. In other words, you have to pass through your center. Yeah. Yeah. So what? So a lot of times people make the mistake of going from a leaning to a leaning. You know, you don't go from a leaning to a leaning. That's what a lot of people are doing. You're not passing through a horse. So if you're not passing through a horse, then the piece that required to go through the horse part of it, or facsimile of a horse, then the upper body won't have a transition that's time within the phase of that movement. So if you go like this, and I go like this, and I'm just like this, there's something missing, and it's the lower connection in the horse. Yeah. So all the water punches are like that. If you go through the 10 water punches in the 10 images, or just do one, you're here. But when you step, you have to be here because this is the leaning position. This is the horse. But when I go into the horse, it allows me to do this. Otherwise, it's going to be like this, and then I'm going to go like that. There's no connection. Yeah.
So I can't be 50-50 yet, right? Because I have to.
Yeah.
Right? Even though it's a horse, I'm still trying to favor this side in order to weight change.
Yeah.
Right? So I have maybe 20 to 30 on here now. Right, come on. Is that what you said? I thought I heard you say before.
Yeah.
But you thought me, I said, oh, too much weight on the front, this leg.
Yeah. So while you're measuring it in percentages of leg, what do you have in the upper percentages of the arm? Because you don't have any weight in it, you don't know what the percentages are. But the weight doesn't have to do it, has to do with your transition. So if you're transitioning here through the weight, then your body's transitioning through the arms and your body and your torso, right? So that's what the coordination is. So you can, yeah. Well, it's either you have to, like I said, I mentioned a facsimile of, so 50-50 is a horse. Because if you were sitting on a horse, unless the horse has only one side, right? But you're transitioning. So a transition is a pass-through. So if you're passing through from one side to the other, it's going to go from a full 50 to a distortion of that motion. But that's really a manipulation of your lower. Well, when you're here and you're here, that's a transitional part of a stance. Just like when you go to here, it's transitioning into this, and then you step the horse, and then you go to that. So there's a transition like when you're doing the stick form. There's no such thing as a leaning and a horse because it goes through your hips. So between what this is and what this is a rotation of the hip, and it becomes a transition. So it's what your hip does in its adjustment on the two sides, because your two sides are connected to the pelvis, right? And what happens between is your shift of weight. Your center of mass here is 50-50 unless you do, unless you're doing this, right? So, but between this and this, something happens below. So that's kind of how you have to kind of look at it. By looking at it like that, you know that your legs have to be involved in your transition. So when you're here, you sink, you lift. If you sink here, turn, turn, turn. So it's allowing you to now. It doesn't happen. Just from there to there to there. It actually happens. It happens like that because it's moving. You're in motion. It's like when you drive down the street. You don't hit flats on the wheel. It's continuously going. That's why wheels are round. Otherwise, they'd be square, and that doesn't work. Boom, boom, boom. So you have to transition through, and that's really what your body does because we're capable of connecting it in a smooth. What is actually increments of degrees is actually a connection. Sequential events. It happens as a cycle of movements. It doesn't happen boom, boom. But directionally, it's only 0 and 45. But if you had to do it in a different way, that's what the manipulation is. Yeah. It's like this. If his hand is here, right? I can't go from here to here without turning here. And when I turn here, it allows this to turn down. But is it my elbow dropping down or is it my shoulder rotating? Huh? Right? So the elbow going down is a function of my shoulder. See? So
Yes, like as you're doing that, this is what so that is connect. Like I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why we talk about the shoulders, the hips, the ankles, the knees, and because the 12 joints have to integrate. That's what we talk about in Forkaimon, your 12 joints. They all are moving, but if you're not moving them, then it becomes isolated. And if you're isolated, then it becomes broken. So you want continuity of movement, then it has to synchronize like that. So the order in which they move becomes a cycle. So that's really what skill level is as you advance in your coordination and your ability to control the movement. The form itself doesn't do anything other than house those movements. So when you're in this position, you're shifting, you're stepping, you're stepping, you're stepping, you're turning, you're setting up, you're drawing. So all of these become part of your movement. But are you breaking it down finely enough to define the movement so that each and every one of those is structurally sound? How do you you have to practice with the understanding that that's your goal. So that's the strategy and how to practice, and so that's theoretically the knowledge. The skill is part of that. But if you don't know the idea of that synchronization or the shifting of the weight, then you don't know what to put together as the idea. So when we talk about a principle and we shift, is it in the body? Now, sinking here. So all these nuances to get into each position is something your body has to recognize over time. Otherwise, it's broken. But when we're going through it, we break it down, then you start to think, well, this is here, this is there, that's there. How do you pull it all together? It's only practice. Because through practice, you discover. What do you discover? You discover how it feels. So what it feels like and the timing becomes, that's what it is in movement, and especially this type of movement. The same, I guess in music it would be how it sounds. You can tell the difference by the way it sounds. But the way it sounds depends on what you put into it on a physical level, but it's really something your body has discovered through that pathway, that journey. But in movement, because it has a look, but you can get there, but not necessarily, have anything in between that's of substance, right? Now, yeah, because the strength is finished, but it's not, yeah, that's a little bit better, yeah.
I was doing this intentionally. It's a bad example.
Oh. I thought.
I'm going to do it right. Kind of right.
Okay, good. It's come a long way. No, but that's, that's just what it is. So, the idea is we know trapping hand is this. You learn it in the fourth form. We're in the horse stance. We go like this and we turn to here. We cut to here. We palm to here and we punch. Now, what does it take to get the body to synchronize it? To get that to happen is just the practice and to know that that's what you're striving for. So if when we get it in these movements, when you do it do your weapons, then the extension of the body will really show up, because now not only do you have an apparatus, but it's magnified because it's extension of your body, and the alignments and all that stuff really will show up. So then, my teacher used to say, you can't cheat the eye. You can't cheat the eye. So, for teachers, the teachers see right away, and they can tell right away it's not good or something wrong with it, then you can fix it. And then, the trained eye. So, and then the same applies in application. When they touch you, just you can tell what kind of strength, it's the right one or the wrong one just by the bridge. So when you do pushing hands, if someone tells you, I've done pushing hands for a while, and as soon as you touch them, you can tell right away if they have any experience with it, because the strength is detected as the right or correct or not correct. So it's just something that's is unique to the skills that you develop from your experience, and that's all is experience. So let's do that again. No, so now the big tip here is turn your waist and soften the landing, and then you finish, and then you work your movement, and you go to the next one. Oh, must be kicking up some dust over there.
Natural to turn the other way to just give it balance.
It's not natural. That's why people can't do it. The phenomena is what makes it. Yeah, because so that's why it isn't really natural. It's really, but by the physics behind the movement, that's the principle. But the naturalness of motion is not natural. Yeah. Once you do it correctly, then it becomes a natural motion. But there's one other thing. There's one other thing that's missing. When you cross over and you sink, is your spine vertical for the heel of the planted foot. The center line of your foot has to, of your spine will come here. Then your spine was, then you have center, you have balance, and this, and this, or this. And then this. Well, you have to turn. You're doing it to find your spine. Now, so the reason why people can't find it here is because in the Tai Chi they're not doing it. The Tai Chi, the center spine vertical position is not there, so it's not going to be found here. So in kungfu you can fudge it by going through the movements fast, but it shows up if the characteristic in the movement is not right, because the alignment of that body has to be true. And then this, if you turn your spine, even if you're just doing the footwork, you know that the sternum is right over your knee. So that's the alignment, right? That's the alignment of the movement. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you can't do that. You can't do it like this because, yeah. So when you're turning, your upper body should be relaxed. Because if you put tension in, and then when you turn, because you have to, and then here I have to open my body in order to close, right? So that's when your spine has to turn again. Yeah. The spine is something that we don't control enough of normally. That's why we have so many back problems. And our legs, because we don't move them correctly. That's why we have so many joint problems in the knees, and in the hips, in the shoulders. All the joints that don't move correctly from tension. So. And then step. Continue for the next movement. Yeah. So do it again. 1. Yeah. Yeah. So I shouldn't hear your feet. Should not hear your feet. If I hear your foot, that means you landed too hard. I heard it. Switch. Switch. Sink. Yeah. Okay, lighter. Sink here. Oh, sink. Drop. Yeah.
I see what you're doing.
Drop. Yeah. So you have to. Yeah, you're not good. That's what we're. Yeah, you have to control the movement. Right.
You're controlling this, right? I'm just dropping.
Yeah. Land like a good pilot lands his plane. Usually, no crash landings. Yeah, well, yeah, because you're here. Then you're here. Here. Then when you shift, you step, shift. That's differentiating between solid and empty in Tai Chi. Yeah. So that's why when they do all these fall preventions for people that are over 60, people have so much trouble because it takes a lot of control to prevent falling. So when people get old, they get stiff and rigid and they can't do it until they have go through a period of training. So this will help with your balance and control and fall prevention. But at what stage do you need to develop that so it actually works? It's going to be a journey. Most people don't have enough, perseverance to tame the tiger. Yeah, well, most of the people that have been doing this a while will end up able to do it. When you start a little bit late, it's really no. I'm not talking about people that come out of a doctor's office and say you should do this, and to help you prevent your falling. But a week of this, a week of that, it's not going to work very good because it takes so long for your system to change. You might be able to stand without falling, but you're not going to be agile on your feet. And half of agility footwork is what prevents you from falling because you can respond. So that's something that, it's not that you won't get any benefit out of doing this at all. It's just that so many people who do this and then they am falling and they say, well, I thought it was going to prevent me from falling, but so many of our Tai Chi students have fallen, right? Somehow even when they came in, because it depends on what stage they are in their understanding. But the thing is, you're still going to fall because outside of Tai Chi, they're actually not paying attention, and they end up falling. And it's not rare. It happens. A lot of people in Belmont that are seniors, they come in, oh, I just fell, or whatever, a lot of times. But yeah, but I mean here, if I look at this group, not too many people have really fallen, because we've been doing it a while. But the people that have been doing it for 1 or 2 years, or even 5 years, and still just kind of going through the motions, really don't have a lot of control. But they don't blame Tai Chi. They know it's themselves that they had the issue with stumbling or tripping or not paying attention to a curb. It happens to young people, but young people survive it better, Yeah. No, when we're in China, the curbs going to the bus terminal, those curbs that are like that, you don't see, they're actually curbs. They actually make it like that. So people trip on them all the time. Well, no, because I don't know, maybe there was a height difference and they had to fudge it to make the building work. So they got, 2 steps and then they got this little lip that's like that. And then people kind of get caught on it and it'll fall through the door or something. Well, that was the excuse. I think the reason why the stairs are irregular is because they didn't have a good method of making the rocks the right size. Yeah. Okay, so then we have the other Kalen Bu, right? What other ones we have? The ones that are like this, right? The butterfly. It's the same idea. When you step, if you want to soften the movement, you have to soften it here. So if you're second form and you turn, you're here, right? Then you're here. Then you step, and you push. Then you're here. Then you're here. Then you're here. Step and push. So that will help you tie your torso to your movements. So right now, one critical thing is your upper body working with your lower body. So they call it upper lower coordination, xiang ha xiang tu, xiang upper ha xiang tu, have to work together as it's all tied to your torso. So we have to get that. If we're here, horse stand, you have to turn your body to do this. You're here, you sing, you have to turn your body to do this. So your waist movement is key to getting the two methods to happen, to tie it together. Yeah. Again. So sink first. Turn. Yeah. Sink. Step. Yeah. And turn. Step. But hold it through the center first. Holding this leg a little longer. Step. And then go. Yeah. And then. Yeah. So this is just how you practice it. When you use it, you don't do that because it's too many pauses. It's just so that you have the ability, because when you use the movement, it's got to be like that. Yeah. So because you have to. Yeah. But you want to be as complicated as possible when you're practicing it, so that when it happens, it's going to be much more integrated, because it'll be missing all the pieces that need to be there to get the power. Yeah. 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 No. Well, they're not together because you have a horse, you have a leaning. So one movement goes to the horse, one movement goes to the leaning. But when you're using it, there's a pass-through that doesn't happen as distinctly. It's just like, should I step like this, or should I go like this and then like this? So between this is control of center, but between this and this is direct. So one's more effective because of the time and the distance. So if you take away the distance, you're going to shorten the time. So that's just what you would do. You don't have a lot of time to react, so you have to use the shortest distance, and you have to use the most efficient way of generating that power. Now, if you're presetting it from your practice, then you're going to have power then. But if you're not used to presetting it, then you go there, you can't tie that to your body's turning. Because when I'm here, I'm already ready to do. If I'm here, I'm already here, right? So if I'm here and he punches, I'm already preset that motion. So the hand's going to come right from there. Yeah. It's generating power. Because if I go like this, and it's going to be like that. It's going to be all arm. So we try to avoid the all arm stage, because that's natural, all arm. What? It's all arm because people reach. So, so everything is. Yeah. So a lot of things is counterintuitive, because naturally you see the hands, because that's what you're trained to just follow things that are out here. You don't see what's inside because you don't know there's inside. So that's perception. So that's something is it's just through your experience, and then over time. So let's do the second half full hawk again. Just. Did we ever get to the second half? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, the second half. No, from here. Yeah. Oh, let's do a better back fist though. If you do a back fist or you do this. So, okay, let's do it again. Let's see what the start looks like. Ready? Go. And then go. Next. Go. Oh, what happened? Oh, yeah. Okay, see. No, that must be the abbreviated version. 1, 2, 3. Water punch. Water punch. Chutzing. Step up. 1. Up. Punch. Sweep. So, we went over that little section with the chopping hand. So that kind of gives you an idea what that footwork should be with the waist. But actually, it started at the Tigers. And the Tigers should be the same kind of footwork because there's a lot of cross steps there. So, you do those cross steps, and then it leads into the next series, which is a continuation of the cross steps. So the form itself is just a sequence. It's that stuff that will make the difference in the form. Yeah. No, there is a stomp there. There's 2 stomps there. No, there are stomps when there's stomps. Yeah, but typically, if you're here and you're crossing over, you still have to step. Here you have to cross over and you step. Now when you're over here and you stomp, then it starts to get soft again. So you can't because once your body weight and control is in the footwork, it'll stay once you've actually worked it out so that your body recognizes it. It's like turning and so forth. Your body, it has to be innate. It has to be something that your system realizes. If your system thinks, well, this is that, that's that, then you're going to be thinking your way through the form forever until at some point it clicks that there's a commonality in the principle of those movements. So you don't have to learn 10,000 things. You just have to learn 9,000. But it all ties to the same concept. That's an exaggeration, but because footwork is footwork, you only have 2 stances: a horse stance and a leaning stance. Then you have the transitional stances. So this is something that we work on in more advanced classes or whatever, because if you're teaching a red belt class or a blue belt class, or this information is too beyond their way of thinking. So it's really not something that you need to bring up at that stage, simply because they won't get it anyways. They're trying to work on their sequence. They're trying to memorize the form. So, the basic things fundamentally is what's critical at that stage. Then when you get to the next stage, you have to know, kind of distinguish, the layer that they're in or the level they're in. It's something we're struggling with it all the time. So, all right, we'll bow. And also the hook is this, the crane. Yeah. The beak. Yeah. Yeah. So this is like this. The wrist is bent back. This is like this, but this is like this. So whether it's like this, or this, or this, it's the same beak. It's just your wrist can be like this. Yeah. When they're like this, they're both the same. When you're like this, and then this is like that. It's like this, yeah. And then this is like this. It's bent here because you're poking like that. Yeah. It's a direction and a structure, depending on what you're doing with it. If you're doing this, you're going to hit with this. Yeah. Right. Okay, ready?